My strangest one-night stand with a stranger. The hotel room door clicked shut behind us, the soft sound barely registering as we stared at each other with hunger. It was surprising how we had ended up here. I had been drowning in grief in a bar due to the worst week of my life. A cheating boyfriend, losing my job, and all that stuff. When this handsome and mysterious stranger had come out of nowhere to cheer me up, and after a night of dancing, we had ended up in this hotel. Here we are. What do you plan to do now? I asked the handsome man before me. I've many things in mind, he whispered against my ear, making me shiver. Well, we've got the entire night, I murmured. I don't think even that will be enough, he replied, and his lips crashed against mine. The kiss was deep and raw, full of hunger. It ignited something deep in us that we couldn't resist. My hands became tangled in his hair as he put his arms around my waist, pulling me closer. Want to turn this into an unforgettable night? He asked playfully. It already is, but I can't wait to see what more you have in mind, I breathed. Don't worry, I've got the entire night to impress you. You won't be forgetting me soon, he teased. Then his hand started exploring me with confidence, as if he knew every part of my body well. I surrendered to his touch, losing myself and letting the world fall away. The night was passionate and liberating. It made me forget everything from the past week. Our lovemaking was raw, intoxicating, and unforgettable. The next morning. I woke up the next morning with a severe headache. Maybe I shouldn't have drank so much last night. But what happened after that? I tried to piece my memory together, and suddenly I remembered. I had slept with a man last night. I looked around to search for him in the hotel room, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Wait, what was his name? After racking my memory for a while, I realized I forgot to ask for his name or any other contact information. What an idiot I am. How was I supposed to contact him again? In fact, I couldn't even remember what exactly he looked like. It seemed my last night's memory was foggy. The only thing I seemed to remember was that we hooked up. But maybe this was for the better. Wasn't last night a one-night stand anyway? I'm sure the man wanted nothing to do with me either. It was time I moved on with my life. I checked my phone for any new messages or emails, and to my surprise, I had received an email from a company whom I had recently interviewed for. I checked the email eagerly, and it seemed I'd made it. They wanted me to join 2 days from now. I pumped up my fist in the air. I couldn't be happier. It seemed my life was getting on track now. 2 days later. I was getting ready for my first day at the office when my phone pinged continuously. I took it out, annoyed, and it seemed I'd received text from an unknown number. Hey there, you busy? Why are you not replying? Are you ignoring me? I received many messages like this. Maybe it was just a random number looking to trouble someone. I had no time to waste on them, so I just ignored the texts. After I came back from the office and was relaxing at home, I received the same texts. Are you there? Why are you ignoring me? Don't you remember me? Huh? Am I supposed to know this unknown number? That's not possible. I would have definitely saved the contact then. I decided to send them a reply. Who are you? How do you know me? You're kidding, right? How can you not remember me? The reply came back. Suddenly my phone started ringing. It was the same number. Hello? Who is this? I asked after picking it up. Seriously, Matteo, you don't remember me? The man asked. No, I don't. And if it's some kind of prank, please stop it right now, I replied, annoyed. No pranks. You know me, but maybe you don't remember, he said. Then tell me, I retorted. Not so easily. Let's see if you can remember before I tell you. Let's keep the mystery going, he replied, amused, and hung up. I almost threw the phone in frustration. What kind of game was this man playing? 3 days later. The texts and calls hadn't stopped after that day. In fact, they had only increased. This entire scenario was too frustrating for me. And the most shocking thing was that not only did he know my name, but other details too, like where I worked or which college or school I went to. I was getting creeped out now, because I had already talked to all my friends thinking it was a prank by one of them, but it turned out it wasn't them. I was about to send a text to the unknown caller when I got a call from him. Did you figure it out yet? The man asked. I don't know what kind of sick game you're playing, but it has to stop, now, I yelled at him. I'm not playing any games. but it wouldn't be fun if I told you so soon, he retorted. Fine, then at least tell me something, I shot back. All right, I'll give you a hint. We met just a few days before and had quite the conversation, he replied. As he said this, the wheels in my brain started turning. This scenario seemed quite familiar. When had I met a man like this? And then suddenly I got it. The night at the bar. The conversation I had with that stranger. Could it be him? I decided to take a chance. Are you, by any chance, the man I met at the bar? I asked hesitantly. So you do remember, he remarked. Yes, I do now. What do you want from me? I asked. I want to meet you again, he replied. What? Why? I thought the plan was to go our separate ways, I replied, surprised. It was, but I've changed my mind. I know that night was unforgettable for you too. Don't you want to meet again? He asked. I'll think about it, I replied, not really sure if I did want to meet with him again. Fine, take your time, but give your answer in a few days, he replied and cut the call. My mind was in a whirlwind. Why did the man want to meet me again, especially after all this time? Should I take the risk of meeting him again? A few days later, I had been working hard at my new office and also trying to get along with my coworkers. Meanwhile, the man I had hooked up with that night, whose name I still didn't know, continued texting and calling me asking to meet up. To be honest, his persuasion and my curiosity to know about him almost made me want to meet him again. Hey, Matteo, so what did you think about meeting again? My phone pinged with the message. Fine, let's meet at the same bar in a few hours, I texted back. I couldn't wait to learn what he wanted to meet me about. My curiosity had gotten the better of me. A few hours later, I was sitting at the bar waiting for the man to come. I had no idea what he was going to say, or how was I going to recognize him. Then suddenly, a man in his late 20s came up to me and sat near me. Hey, Matteo, he said, grinning. Hey, I replied, but my mind was busy recalling the man in front of me. For some reason, I seemed to recognize him, and I knew it wasn't from that night. I'm Daniel, he said, offering me his hand. Suddenly, I understood why I knew this man. I knew the name Daniel very well. He used to be my college rival. Daniel competed with me in everything and even had a hand in ruining my life. You? You're the man I slept with that night? I said, almost jumping in shock. So you finally recognize me, huh? He grinned. Are you crazy? Why would you do such a thing? Have you forgotten the fact that I hate your guts? I shouted. Relax. I didn't plan it or anything. It just happened, he shrugged. Just happened? You knew I was drunk and didn't know what exactly was happening around me. Yet you came on to me. I'm sure it's another plan of yours to sabotage me, I shot back. Oh, come on. You knew exactly what was happening last night. Anyway, I'm not here to fight with you, he replied. Why are you here then? I asked sharply. I'm here to put all the past disputes between us aside and to extend a hand in friendship. And why the hell would I want to do that? I'm not crazy enough to be friends with you, I retorted. I know it sounds crazy, but I think we've wasted too much time fighting each other. Anyway, I've another reason for this. And what's that? I asked. He took a deep breath and said, We're co-workers at your new workplace. You've got to be kidding, I shouted, not believing him. I wish, but it's the truth, he replied. Then why haven't I seen you in the office? I asked. Because I work in another department and I've been trying my best to avoid you, he replied. I don't believe that. Don't, but it's the truth. Anyway, our company is going to make our departments work together. That's why I came to see you, so we could reconcile, he explained. How can I trust you, though? How do I know you won't stab me in the back? I asked. I wouldn't do such a thing. I'm not the same person you knew in college. I've changed, he replied. Believe me, he added earnestly. For a while, I sat lost in thought, wondering if it would be fine to accept my worst rival as a friend. But then I realized there was no reason to continue the past rivalry. I was a changed person too. Fine. I agree. But don't disappoint me, I warned. Have I ever? Remember that night? He asked with a wink. I sighed with annoyance. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing by getting closer to Daniel, but I had no choice but to wait and see where this friendship would lead us. 2 weeks later, I was not only well adjusted in the office now, but had also become close to Daniel. Honestly, he was the one to show me the ropes in the office. It turned out he had actually changed a lot since his college days, and had become an interesting and fun person to be around. Want to go on a coffee break? Daniel asked, leaning against my table. Sure, I was thinking of taking a quick break too, I replied. Great minds think alike, Daniel smirked. Yeah, let's go, I said, giving him a little nudge. After a while, we both stood near the coffee machine sipping our coffees. So, how are you liking the new workplace? Is it treating you well? Daniel asked. I think so. It's definitely better than my last job where my boss kept yelling at me for no reason, I replied. I still don't understand how someone can fire an efficient person like you. I mean, you were the top student in our college, he exclaimed. I guess times change. Anyway, I'm pretty sure my boss was like that to everyone, I shrugged. Yeah, I know our company isn't perfect, but it definitely has better work ethics than some of the companies I know, he explained. How many companies have you worked at? I asked curiously. Not many, but I've many connections, he grinned. Right. I remember you were a social butterfly in college too, I chuckled. And I remember you played guitar in college. You had all the girls and some guys swooning for you. You still into that? He asked. If you're asking if I still make people swoon over me, no. But yes, I do still play guitar from time to time. I would love to hear it sometime, Daniel said with interest. Of course. You can come to my house sometime and experience both my music and cooking skills, I replied, smiling. Wow, you cook too. Didn't know you were such a talented person, he said with surprise. Nothing like that. I had to learn it to survive, but now I do actually enjoy doing it. What about you? Well, I can cook a thing or two, but I'm not a chef like you, he smirked. Well, we can see who's the better cook at my house. Let's meet on the weekend, I suggested. Sure, it's a done deal, he grinned. A week later, the weekend had finally come, and I was preparing for Daniel's arrival. To be honest, I never expected Daniel and I to become such good friends. I mean, I know I hooked up with him, but that night felt different. I didn't even recognize Daniel at the time, but now we had an emotional connection with each other. In fact, I looked forward to meeting him every day. Suddenly, someone rang the bell. Knowing it must be Daniel, I ran forward to open the door. Long time no see, Daniel joked, coming inside. It's only been one day, I rolled my eyes. One day is still too much to stay away from you, he replied. I chuckled. When did you start using such cheesy lines? You're my one and only inspiration behind it, he grinned. Come on, you idiot, I replied, pushing him into the dining area. I pointed at the huge array of dishes on the dining table proudly. I made all this for tonight. Wow, are you sure you're not a secret magician or have superpowers or something? Because this looks amazing, he exclaimed. Nope. Just a normal human with some cooking skills, I grinned. This isn't just cooking. Your food looks like it's been prepared by a Michelin chef, he replied. I chuckled softly. It's nothing like that. Come on, let's dig in. Oh, wait, I brought something too, Daniel suddenly shouted. Oh, what is it? I asked in surprise. He took out a small box of cookies. I baked these. I don't know if it compares to your cooking, but I didn't want to come empty-handed. These look amazing, I replied, excitedly looking at the delicious-looking cookies. I took one cookie and put it into my mouth. Soon we were having dinner, and Daniel couldn't stop gushing about my food. Afterwards, we lounged around in my living room. You seriously are an amazing chef, Daniel praised again. Oh, stop, your cookies were amazing too, I replied. Fine. I'll stop praising you, but only on one condition. I want to hear you play your guitar. I slapped my head. I am so sorry. It totally slipped out of my mind. Let me go get my guitar. Don't worry. I'll wait as long as you want, Daniel said, chuckling. A little while later, I came out with my guitar and started playing a song that I had wrote myself. Beautiful music filled the room. After I stopped, Daniel looked at me in awe. Wow. I don't know if it's better or the same as in college, but you definitely made me swoon over you, he praised. Did I? I asked, leaning in closer to Daniel. So, did you fall in love with me? I teased. Daniel suddenly looked embarrassed and turned away. Nothing like that, he mumbled softly. Honestly, I won't blame you if you do fall in love with me. I can be quite charming, you know, I smirked. Wasn't that supposed to be my line? Daniel countered. Nope, your lines are way cheesier, I replied, chuckling. For a while, we were completely engrossed in our conversation, but finally the moment came for Daniel to leave. This was such a memorable night. I don't feel like leaving, he said, standing at the door. Well, you know you can always come over here, right? I replied. Really? I wasn't sure if you'd want me here again. Which part of me said that? I retorted. Anyway, you're always welcome here. Daniel happily nodded and we bid goodbye. Today was an unforgettable night, and one that I was going to cherish forever. 2 days later, as I was walking towards my desk, I heard two of my coworkers gossiping. Though I don't usually eavesdrop on anyone else's conversation, hearing Daniel and my name got me curious. Did you hear that Daniel and Matteo have become close friends? Really? Didn't they used to be college rivals? One of them asked. Yeah, but that's not all. I heard something else too, the other replied. What did you hear? I heard that Daniel is only pretending to be friends with Matteo. In fact, he schemed to sabotage Matteo at his new job. What? That sounds unbelievable. Where did you even get that information? I heard from one of Daniel's close friends, so it's a rare chance for this to be a lie. I listened to their conversation in utter shock and devastation. I still couldn't believe my ears. No, I couldn't judge Daniel so rashly. Maybe these people were wrong and this was just some rumor that they had heard. It wouldn't hurt to find out more, though. As I went to Daniel's desk to confront him, I saw his phone lying on the desk while he didn't seem to be around. Could I glance at it quickly? I knew it was wrong and that I was betraying his trust, but I had to find out. To my relief, the phone was unlocked. I quickly went to his chats to see if he had talked about me with any of his friends. And then I found it in one of the chats. He was discussing me. I can't believe you want to be friends with that Matteo guy. You guys were sworn enemies in college. Who said I actually wanted to be friends with him? It's just my plan to ruin his position in the office. I plan to get back at him for all those years. He always acted as if he was better than me. You're horrible, Daniel. You're really going to use the pretext of friendship to sabotage him? I don't care. Matteo has put me down so many times in college. He always behaved as if he was better than me in everything and even humiliated me in front of everyone. Now it's time for some payback. The phone almost fell from my hand. To think I had trusted Daniel and considered him a friend while all he was doing was using me. He was ruining my life just like in the past. I had nothing left to say to him. In fact, I didn't even want to see his face. And there was only one way to do that. I was going to resign from the office. I knew this was a rash decision, but I couldn't work here anymore, not knowing the truth about Daniel. 2 hours later. A while later, I was packing my things to leave the office forever. But just as I was about to leave, a familiar voice interrupted me. Hey, Matteo, going somewhere? Daniel asked. Yes, I gave a curt reply. Where, exactly? You're taking all your stuff, too. Are you planning to leave the office or something? He asked, grinning. Yes, I am, I replied. Daniel stared at me in shock. Are you crazy? Why would you do that? Because of you, I replied sharply. What? Me? What do you mean? He asked in surprise. Oh, don't act so innocent, I shot back. I don't understand what you mean, he replied, looking confused. I know all about your schemes and plans, I shouted angrily. My scheme? Daniel asked, and then suddenly, I saw realization dawning upon him. His face became pale. Matteo, please listen, he pleaded. What's there to listen to? You lied, Daniel. You haven't changed at all, I shot back. But who told you? I saw the chats on your phone, I retorted. You checked my phone? No, that's not important. Matteo, let me explain everything. Give me a chance, please, Daniel pleaded again. I sighed. Fine, I'll give you one chance to explain everything. Matteo, it's true that I contacted you at first to sabotage your position in the office. I couldn't see you achieving more than me, and I wanted revenge for all those years in college where you acted like you were above me or just ignored me. But I don't want that anymore. I never put you down, Daniel. It's just what you believed at that time, and even believe now. In fact, you were always the one scheming against me, I shot back. I know now, but at that time, all I could think of was taking revenge on you. For the first time in my life, I wanted to attain more than you, he explained. And that's the only way you found? By backstabbing me? By breaking my trust? I asked, frustrated. I'm sorry. I know I did wrong, but it was only in the beginning. After I started spending time with you, I actually started considering you a friend, Daniel replied. That's another lie, I scoffed. I'm sure your plan must have included sleeping with me. What? No, Matteo, I was honest with you last time, Daniel said, his voice earnest. I approached you that day because you looked so down, and somehow I felt this pull toward you. I didn't plan it, but it led to us spending the night together. I had no idea at the time that you'd applied for a job here. Fine, I'll believe that, but if you want me to believe that you've truly started caring for me, then that's bullshit, I shot back. Please believe me, Matteo, he pleaded. Then after a pause, he said, Fine. If you don't want to believe me, then don't. But at least don't resign from this job. I know how much you love it. I promise to stay away from you from now on. I pondered over his words for a few minutes. Everything he said seemed like a lie now, but he was right. There was no need to leave such a good job just because of him. Anyway, if I just ignored him, there wouldn't be an issue. Fine, I'll stay. But don't think it's because of you, and stay away from me from now on. I'm breaking our friendship, right this instant, I said firmly. Daniel nodded. I guess I deserve this. Thank you for not leaving this office. I'll take my leave now. As I watched him walk away, a sharp pang of pain hit me. Was it simply because Daniel had broken the bond of our friendship? Or was there something deeper behind it? 3 days later, I sat in the office trying to focus on my work, but it was impossible with everything that had happened in the past few days. I had ignored Daniel completely, not wanting to do anything with him now. But whenever I saw him, I could feel myself hurting. I hadn't even realized when and how Daniel had started affecting me this much. I decided to have a coffee break. It's not like I was able to accomplish my tasks anyway. As I took the coffee cup from the machine, I felt someone standing behind me. I quickly turned around, startled to see Daniel standing there. He looked different. His usual spark was gone, and the playful smirk that always adorned his face had faded. What happened to you? I asked as he prepared his own coffee. Nothing. I'm fine, he replied seriously. Well, you don't look fine, I said. He sighed. Well, nothing has been the same since you stopped talking to me. Well, I'm not the one to blame for that, am I retorted. Matteo, please forgive me. Can't we become friends again? He pleaded. Friends? Not in this lifetime, I shot back and left for my desk before Daniel could say another word. There was no way I was going to give him another chance after what he did to me. Yet, why did my heart ache every time I thought about distancing myself from him? 2 weeks later, I was working on my desk when Daniel came to meet me. Are you still going to ignore me? He asked. Of course, I'm never forgiving you, I said sharply. Doesn't everyone deserve a second chance, Matteo? He asked sincerely. Do they? Even if people do, I don't feel like you deserve one, I shot back. Haven't I already apologized to you? Like 1,000,000 times. What more do you want for me to do? I want you to stop bothering me and let me focus on my work. I don't want to see your face or talk to you, I replied, my tone ice cold. Daniel smiled sadly. That's too cruel. Is it? Well, I don't care. I even sent you cookies. Did you even eat them? He asked. No, I threw them in the trash, I lied, so stop sending them to me. I knew I was being too harsh with Daniel, especially when he had done everything he could to apologize, but I'd started to see him as more than just a friend, and his betrayal, it had shattered me completely. Fine, I'll leave you be, Daniel said quietly, before turning and walking away. I watched him go, a sudden urge rising within me to stop him, But I was still not ready to forgive him, not after how he betrayed my trust. A few days later. The office didn't seem the same without Daniel. I still had my coworkers to talk to, but they were nothing compared to him. Honestly, I was missing his presence. As I came upon my desk, I found a box waiting for me. There was a note on the top. I started reading it. Matteo, I know you don't want to hear from me or see me, but I won't give up on seeking forgiveness from you. I know I've been wrong, but I'll keep trying to win you back. In this box, you'll find something that you'll cherish. I opened the box hesitantly, and inside was a mini music box. I played it, and my favorite song filled the air. I stared at it in surprise. How had Daniel known my favorite song? Do you like it? Daniel asked, appearing before me. It's nice, I gave a curt reply. Suddenly, Daniel got down on his knees in front of the whole office. What are you doing? I asked, embarrassed. Matteo, I know I've committed a grave mistake. I know I betrayed you. I hurt you. And I'd take it all back if I could, but since I can't, please, give me another chance so I can make it up to you. I sighed. Fine, I'll give you another chance. I guess you deserve it after all the things you've done to apologize. Please, just get up now. Thank you, Matteo. Daniel got up and said, smiling. How did you know my favorite song, though? I heard you say it in college once, and I remembered it till now. Wow. And here I thought you were a huge jerk in college. I grinned. I guess I was. Maybe even after college. But I will do my best to change now. I'll hold you to it. I smiled. I knew it was time to give him another chance. And maybe, slowly, we could become close again. 2 days later. The office was in chaos today, with tension buzzing in the air. Whispers of trouble circulated. Apparently, another company was threatening to take ours down. It sounded far-fetched, but the unease was palpable. I figured it wouldn't hurt to learn more about the situation, and I knew there was only one person who could give me the answers I needed. Daniel? I called out as I walked toward his desk. He looked up briefly, his expression tense, and it was clear he was deeply engrossed in his work. What is it? He asked. What's happening in this office? I asked. Didn't you hear? A rival business is threatening our company by aligning with all of our partner companies and even signing all the deals we were supposed to. What? Which company is it? I asked, shocked. I think it was Sterling Group, he replied. Wait, what? That's my old company, I replied, shocked. What? Are you serious? How is this even possible? Daniel asked, leaping out of his chair in disbelief. It's my ex-company, I replied firmly. Then after thinking for a moment, I added, wait, I understand why it's coming after our company. I remember even when I used to work there, my boss would find every chance to put this company down. He always hated it because it was doing so much better than his. And what are we going to do now? I can't risk losing this job, Daniel replied worriedly. Don't worry, we'll work together and we'll save our company and our jobs. Do you really mean it? Daniel asked with a sudden spark in his eyes. Of course. Are you with me on this? I asked. Of course. I can't wait to work with you again. He grinned. I smiled back. Then let's get started. A few days later, Daniel and I were working tirelessly to save our company from Sterling Group, my former employer. In fact, we were pulling out all the stops, using every trick in the book to protect it. So you're saying I should handle the marketing part? Daniel asked. Yes. I mean, after all, you're from the sales department. You can convince our investors why they should invest in us instead of in some other company. What will you do then? Well, since I'm the financial analyst, I'll create ways to increase the company's financial standing, I replied confidently. Seems like we just might save our company, Daniel said, smiling. I'm confident we will, I replied firmly. For hours we worked without stopping, formulating strategies and sharing them with our coworkers. It felt like everyone was on the same page, united in the mission to take down Sterling Group and save our company. Can we have a small break now? I'm really tired, Daniel asked. I nodded. We have been working for hours. Let's get some coffee. Soon we were near the coffee machine, sipping our coffees. I wish I had your cookies to go with this coffee. It would have tasted amazing, I said. You didn't actually throw them in the bin, did you? Daniel asked with a smile. No, I couldn't. I mean, you put so much effort into it. I knew you would never do such a thing. But I miss your cooking too. The food hasn't tasted the same since that day, Daniel said. I chuckled. Well, how about you visit my house again, and I'll prepare another feast for you. Let's do something different this time. You come to my house, and we can cook together, he suggested. Well, that sounds like a great plan, I replied, grinning. A few days later, Daniel and I met at a cafe, taking a much-needed break from trying to save the company. I still can't believe you forgave me after what I did, Daniel said, stirring his coffee. I thought you'd never talk to me again. I thought so too, I admitted. But you were pretty convincing. Yeah, I don't think I've ever worked that hard to win someone over. Not even in college, he grinned. I arched a brow. Well, must mean you really like me. You still have doubts. Well, you are incredibly annoying, I teased. Truth was, I liked him too. But with everything going on, I wasn't about to admit it. Daniel rolled his eyes. Should have seen that coming. What, were you expecting a love confession? I chuckled. Something like that. He mumbled, almost like he hadn't meant to say it out loud. Not happening. Whatever, he huffed, then changed the subject. Think we have a shot against this rival company? I nodded. I believe in us. You always sound so sure. His lips quirked up. Guess I'll trust you. You should. I've never been wrong, I added with a smirk. Oh, look who's cocky now. Hey, it's just facts, I smirked. And anyway, you love me. Daniel shook his head. Maybe I just tolerate you. So you wouldn't care if I walked out right now? I challenged. He grinned. You won't. You like me too much. I chuckled, shaking my head. Maybe you're right. No matter how irritating you are, I like being with you. His entire face lit up. I knew it! Our conversation flowed easily, slipping into reminiscing about our college days. I wasn't ready to accept my feelings for Daniel, but one thing was undeniable. I loved every second with him. 2 weeks later, I arrived at Daniel's house, bouquet in hand, ready to propose and congratulate him on saving our company. I rang the bell and waited, my heart pounding, for him to open the door. What are these beautiful flowers for? He asked as he opened the door. These are for you, I replied, handing them to him. What? Is it my birthday or something? He asked, surprised. No, but it's a special day. Daniel, will you do me the honor of becoming my boyfriend? I asked sincerely, kneeling on one knee. Gosh, and you called me the cheesy one. My answer is yes, he yelled with happiness. I pulled him close and said, Thank you. No, thank you for giving me another chance, he replied earnestly. How could I not when I fell in love with you? I remarked. And you said I'd be the one falling in love, he grinned. Didn't you? I asked softly. How could I not? He replied and leaned in to kiss me. I met his lips tenderly, putting my arms around him. It seemed like my strangest hookup had turned into the most beautiful part of my life. Conclusion. Daniel and I moved in together after a few weeks. Together we would either be cooking or baking Daniel's famous cookies. I hadn't stopped playing the guitar for Daniel. In fact, it had become my favorite thing to do now. I could have never imagined falling in love with my worst enemy, but it was difficult to imagine even one day without Daniel now. Each and every day I fell more in love with him, and I realized that we had both changed a lot, and for the better. Daniel and I had gone from being rivals to partners in saving our company, and together, we weren't afraid to face whatever challenges life threw our way. I didn't have grand plans to marry him just yet, but one thing was clear. I wanted to spend every day of my life by his side. The end. Have you ever met a stranger to whom you felt an undeniable connection? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our rainbow force, and stay wholesome.